Hi everybody, Jo here. Thanks for joining me again today. It's always lovely to spend time with you. I hope we're going to do a little bit of crafting together, so if you fancy joining me. The reason we're coming in and I'm sharing this with you today is I ordered a new stamp from Lavinia. And this is it. When I'm putting an order in with Tracy, I like to look for stamps that I haven't particularly seen before. You know what it's like, we can't have all of them, can we? So I try to look for ones that I haven't seen and maybe don't see people use. I have a thing about finding these beauties, and I found this it's called Dandelion too. Now, some of you have probably got it, but I couldn't believe I hadn't seen it. So I really had to get it and have a play. Now, the one thing I will say is when I saw it on the website, I thought it was going to be a lot smaller than what it is. So when it came and I opened it and it's quite a sizable stamp, I was so thrilled. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those crafters. I don't always check sizes. I'm always in such a hurry to order things. I just order them. Now, I know there are some of you like me, not mentioning any names, Diane, but I know a few of us have had little issues with domes and their sizes. But I have to say, you did make me laugh, Diane, you really did. But you're not on your own. So, like I say, this for me was such a pleasure that it is such a sizable stamp. So the whole of this card came round from this new stamp, and I have to say, I am going to be using this quite a lot. And it's called Dandelions 2. And this is the design I came up with. And I wanted something quite clean and simple. As you know, I quite like sort of white space. But also in my order with the new stamp, I ordered myself a new ink pad, and it's Della blue. And I've not used it before. So again, this was an ideal opportunity for me to use my new ink as well. So the beauty of this is you don't need a lot of products, a couple of stamps and a stencil, and away we go. Now, when I started this card, the idea is that it was going to go on a 5x7 inch card blank. So my topper that I'm starting off with is 4 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. But I will explain at the end of the card, I did change my mind when I'd got to this stage. I'll tell you more about that later. You know what I'm like. I am terrible. I do change my mind so much. I don't know about you. I start off with one idea and I end up with so many different ideas. Right, so to start off with, I'm just going to put my black Sharpie line round. And I have got a black Sharpie here somewhere and my kitchen roll. So I just want to do this at the beginning and then it's done. And again, do make sure you press down hard on your card. That just prevents your pen from whizzing into your design, which is one reason why I like to do it at the beginning, just in case, because I have had the odd mishap when I've lost my concentration and it's whizzed across. So we'll get rid of that and get a clean piece so we look a bit more professional. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the dandelions. Now again, when I had this in mind, I used the acetate to give me an idea of where sort of to stamp them. And I knew I wanted enough room for my little fox to go in. So I'm going to use VersaFine Claire, the Nocturne. I do get excited, you know, when I get new stamps. I get so excited just looking through. Am I the only one? Do any of you spend ages just looking through the website? Because Tracy, you know, she's a little tinker. She sneaks new products on there. So I have to keep going on just to check. Because I am one of those that I think I've missed out if something comes on and I don't know about it. And it's like this. I love to find gems like this. And then I think, oh, I need to use that. Now, again, me being me, I just find it easier to stamp on the side. And again, it's a new stamp. So I tend to just put some ink on, stamp it on copy of paper the first time, and then re-ink it. Just because for me, it tends to give it an idea of what its job is, that it needs ink adding to it. Absolutely beautiful. And then I'm going to come in with my fox. Now he's our fox set. Let me just check. I think it's 1. And again, I do use him quite a lot. And I want him looking up. So again, I did use my acetate to just, when I'm planning a design like this, I have an idea in my head what I want to do. Better just wipe that. I've got some ink on the edge there, look. But I do find the acetate so useful. Right, so Mr. Fox, I want you looking up, and he does fit the shape, just where that leaf is. He fits beautifully in there. It's as though they were made to go together. And again, he's a silhouette, so I'm just going to let the ink soak in. Now, I'm hoping we haven't got too much shadow today. It's a very dark day here. Obviously, I know it's autumn. We're heading towards winter, aren't we? So, oh, there we go. He's stamped beautifully. But I'm just hoping you can see. If it's a bit dark, I do apologise. I'd love to turn the sun on for you and brighten it up, but I've got my lights on, so I'm hoping you can see okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my sentiment next, and this is off the Heartfelt Verses. And this is a birthday card for a special friend, so the birthday wishes is just perfect. And that's going up here in the top corner. Now I may just have to put my head on to get it straight. Well, not get my head straight, obviously. I hope that's straight anyway. To get the sentiment straight. And again, a nice firm press and lift up. Beautiful. Now, for me, when I'm creating something like this, I'd like it to look like one. Tim Holtz always calls it a cohesive design, and I know what he means. I want my sentiment and my image to flow. So one way I'm going to do that is add this mini seed head. And again, you know, I have a thing about the pound stamps. I just adore the pound stamps. And this one comes in so many times I use it. And I'm thinking just one there, just to keep the shape and bring the whole design, and just one in the middle. I don't want to overcook it. I don't want too many because I think it would look wrong. I want to keep almost like the integrity of the design, and if I just alter the shape slightly, again, just a gentle press and lift up. And that for me is nice. I've got enough, and I can add my stenciling and it won't overpower it. What I will do is just turn my card over and blot it. Just because obviously that ink is going to be wet. It's VersaFine Clay, it's a slower drying ink. And I tend to do my stamping first. So just for belt and braces, I'm just going to bring in my heat tool and give it a quick, there we go. Move that out of the way. Now what I'm going to do first is just ground. So I'm going to come in with my landscape mask. And we're going to get our stencil brush, and I'm just going to go into the ink and put some on my mat. And I just find this the easiest way. It works well for me. And I'm just going to put the mask on, and again I just want to decide where I want it almost just going under the flower and just through the fox a little. Can you see that? And what I'm going to do is take some ink off, because obviously this is a new ink pad, very juicy. I'm just going to start by on the mask and flick, just gentle flicking motions. And I'm almost going to come around my fox's brush. And I'm just lightly going to add some. If I want to pick a little bit more up, I can take it off there, look. And again, just a nice flicking motion. And obviously I want it darker, just to add a bit of atmosphere, a bit of shade under the plant and under Mr. Fox's brush. If I want to check how that looks, I can just lift it up. Yes, and I'm happy with that. Turn that round. I mean, I have to say in itself, now I'm just going to wipe my landscape mask, because for me, if I don't wipe it now and then dry it with my Inky Binky, if I pick it up and then have ink on my fingers, that's when I'll end up with an inky finger mark on here. So we try and, you know, all the possibilities that we don't get inky finger marks. And straight away, I'm going to put that back into my little packet. Now I'm going to bring in the feather leaf stencil. Now if I bring in the finished one just to show you, the idea here is that I want this all to flow well. And I'm mindful of having some white space around. And don't worry, you can do stenciling first and then inking. For me, I just like to do my stamping first and then I add my stenciling. It really won't make any difference because we're using a permanent ink for our stamping and then a dye based in the background. It will work well. For me, I've never been a confident stamper. To be honest, I still get really nervous stamping. So for me, I like to do my stamping first, then the inking. But that's the only reason. If you want to do your stencil work first, you can. It's just the way my head works doing it this way. So what I shall do is just put the stencil on, and I've got an idea of sort of where I want it. And for me, I can see the design through. Now again, I'm going to go into the ink. Just put a little bit more on my mat. And it almost blends it a little bit on the mat. Don't want to come in too heavy, you see. I know I say this time and time again, but it really is gently, gently. And what I'm going to do is hold my stencil here. In fact, I'm just going to put my, just in case. And then I'm going to start just with flicking motions and start at the bottom where I want it deeper. And I'm almost doing sort of a flicking motion, pick a little bit more ink up, and again, gentle flicking motion around the dandelion that I've got on there, and then up just a little bit around our nice floating fairy there. Fairy clocks, that's what we used to call them. Did you? And you used to blow them. Do you know what? If only I'd known what I know now, that I was actually blowing seed all over people's lawns. But yeah, we used to tell what time it was by how many blows it took to get all the seed heads off. Did any of you used to do that, or was that just me? Was that something we used to do in Kendal? So I've got an idea now, and if I lift the stencil up, look, it's amazing how much ink there is on there. And I like that. I just think I want a tiny bit more here. But do you know what? I'm not going to add any more ink. I'm almost just going to fuzzy those edges. And almost by doing that, what I'm using is a little bit of ink that's on the stencil and left in the brush. Just want to blend a little bit more around, but I don't want it deep colour, you see. Oh, that's nicer. Yeah, that's lovely. So I lift that off. So can you see if I just bring it a bit closer for you? So I just wanted a little bit more light here, but you see how there's a gradation. And that's exactly what I wanted. So again, don't be too quick to ink your brush up again. And what I will do is just put my lid on. And the little bit I've got there, I'm just going to wipe that up. Just again, so I don't put my hands in it. So we keep it nice and clean. So, I mean, we're almost done now. I just think that's a beautiful design in itself, but I just want to add a couple of finishing touches. So I'm going to come in with the Signo and just add some almost sparkly bits. Just a little bit on the stems. And then I've got my chalk pastel pencils. Now, you know how I adore these. So I'm just going to add, now again, I always say you can use your white gel pen if you want. For me, I just find the chalk pastel pencils, for me, are more forgiving. And I just want to give our little fox the shape of his leg. Now, again, I know they have a little bit of white in their ears, look. And then he's got a little bit of white down his front. And I'm almost feathering it just to make it look like it's his front. And then on his brush here, the end bit, that's where he's got his white hairs. So we'll just put the white in there. And again, I'm just smudging it with my finger, just because that helps fix it. And then, because at this time of year, They're almost an orangey red, a fox red. Just going to add a little bit. So we'd have a bit of highlight on his hind leg there and a bit of highlight on here, and it sort of goes on the neck. And again, I'm only adding a little bit. I'm not overcooking it, and just using my finger to smudge it. And then just to sort of complement the design, I'm going to add a little bit on the leaves here. And that's nice because, again, it's sort of autumn leaves, so they would have that sort of orangey tinge. And then what I will do to just add a little bit of shade, I'm just going to add a little bit of blue just under the fox, just to keep it sort of tone on tone. I could use my black charcoal pencil if I wanted, but seeing as I've got my pastel pencils, I'll just use the blue. Don't want to add too much because I want to keep that nice stenciling. And finally, I want a little bit more sparkle on these. Now, there's a few options here. You could use your glitter. We've got gorgeous glitters. You could use your quickie glue pen and add some glitter. But I'm going to go, at the minute, I'm really into my mica minerals. And I think we all do this, don't we? We go through phases. And again, I've got my fabulous little coffee stirrer here. Now, that's probably too much, but in fact, I'm afraid I am one of those people. If I've got too much luck, I am going to have to put some back. That's how bad a crafter I am. And what I'm going to do, just need to wipe my finger from that, don't I? I'm just going to I've got a paintbrush. My Lavinia paintbrush is in my water pot. I'm just going to add some water. Because again, you can paint with these. I know we've done this quite a lot. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more sparkle on the edges. And then here, where we've got these. Now again, as I say, you could add glitter. It's totally up to you. I just like the combination of the Signo pen. So you need a tiny bit more water. I'm very slow to add the water. I don't want to add too much water to start off with. I just want it the right consistency to paint with. And what I like is my fox is looking up, look, so you can actually follow his line of vision. And then lastly for me, I just want to add some little flecks of this. So again, I could have added some flecks of the blue ink, but I just thought it'd be nice to add a little bit more sparkle. As I say, it's a special friend's birthday, so let's add a little bit of sparkle just here. And it won't over-dominate the card. It'll just add, and some down here. Avoid Mr. Fox. And then just mop that up. Now I'm just going to bring my Inky Binky in and mop this up, otherwise. Now when that dries, it really will just add that beautiful sparkle. Now, if I bring in my finished one, look. So all I've done is put this on a piece of card 5x7, and that was going to be my finished design. But when I got to this stage, I realised I'd bought a pack of C5 card and envelope. So what I did was, I got my card blank. If I move this one out of the way, and I've added some stenciling in the top corner. And remember a while ago when we did extending the landscape, and I've extended the landscape at the bottom. So my idea is I'm actually going to mount that on there. And I just think that makes the card look just even more special. So again, you could either just have this one as a C5, a 5x7, or this as a C5. Again, what I love is that you can take a design and you can actually then almost extend it again. And this is just the way of doing it, by adding that stenciling in the background and extending the landscape. So I'm hoping you've enjoyed that. I'm hoping it gives you lots of hints and tips. As always, if you find, any inspiration there, or if you've got this stamp, maybe look through your stamps. I mean, quite often it's have a look through these stamps and see what stamps you haven't used for a while. I'd love to see if there's some other stamps I need. You know what, there'll be another order going in. So thank you very much. As always, if you put anything on social media, if you tag me in and then I can have a look, I can have a see. It's so lovely that we can craft together and learn together. So you take care. I'll pop back soon. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.